Spider-Noir is the newest adaptation of Spider-Man, set in 1930s New York and showing us a more grounded version of the web-swinging superhero, a gritty crime drama with rampant crime, mobsters and corruption. Instead of world-ending threats and massive battles, the result is a show that feels less like a traditional Marvel story and more like a noir crime drama that features a different take on Spider-Man and the various threats that he goes up against, and for the most part, that approach works surprisingly well. One of the show's greatest strengths is its atmosphere. The option to watch the show in black and white instead of full colour gives it an old and dated appearance, helping to ground the show in the 1930s without distracting from the viewing experience, though it can be watched in full colour if you wish. The dark streets, smoky interiors, criminal underworld, and constant sense of mystery create a style that immediately separates it from most modern superhero projects. Rather than racing from action scene to action scene, the show spends time building its world and allowing its investigations to unfold. Nicolas Cage does a good job of playing Spider-Man, somewhat different from his usual action roles, delivering a performance that feels perfectly suited to the noir setting. Whether he's investigating crimes, confronting criminals, or narrating his thoughts like a classic detective, he brings a unique personality to the character. His performance helps carry many scenes that otherwise might have felt slow, and he gives this version of Spider-Man an identity that stands apart from other versions. The crime drama itself is generally engaging. The show's focus on mobsters, corruption, conspiracies, and detective work creates genuine intrigue throughout much of the story. There are enough twists and mysteries to keep viewers invested, and the smaller scale stakes often feel more personal than the galaxy-ending threats that dominate many modern superhero stories. Instead of saving the world, he's often trying to uncover secrets, solve crimes, and survive in a dangerous city. The fight scenes are fairly decent. Instead of frequent and heavily animated fight scenes that traditional superhero projects have, they are fewer and not as filled with spectacle, with some episodes completely lacking any action. The show focuses more on the crime drama, with the fewer fight scenes having this version of Spider-Man largely taking on ordinary criminals. There are various superpowered enemies that you will recognize as toned-down versions of already established Spider-Man antagonists. Despite the differences in the way the fights are handled, they are still entertaining and well executed. However, the show isn't without its flaws. A big issue is the inconsistent portrayal of Spider-Man's abilities. People are familiar with the traditional Spider-Man, who is capable of stopping trains, taking huge amounts of punishment, and going head-to-head with high-powered villains. This show has a far more grounded approach and a different type of story, and that isn't a problem in itself. The issue is that Spider-Man's abilities change from scene to scene, depending upon what the story needs. He goes from being beaten up by a couple of random mobsters in one scene to taking out a dozen of them later in the very same episode, displaying higher levels of strength than what he possessed previously. This makes it impossible to understand exactly how powerful this version of Spider-Man is supposed to be, and that breaks the immersion as you are questioning why that particular event happened the way it did, like his powers are molded to fit around whatever the plot needs him to be at any particular time, rather than something that drives the story. Despite these issues, the show remains an entertaining watch. Its unique atmosphere, strong visual identity, engaging crime story, and Nicolas Cage's performance help it stand out in a superhero landscape that's become stale and doesn't hold the excitement that it did 5 years ago. It isn't perfect, and the inconsistent power scaling and slower pacing hold it back from reaching its full potential, but it's still a refreshing change from the traditional Marvel formula. If you're looking for a gritty detective story with a superhero twist, then this is definitely worth checking out.